So Kevin Durant tonight has 8 points at halftime, which tied him all time with Shaquille O'Neal on the all-time scoring list. Comes out to the 10:22 mark in the third quarter, hits a 16-foot smooth jumper, the same jumper that he has hit countless times in his career, and he passes Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq has a nice little tribute to him that they air in the stadium. Does take a shot. Hey, you're going to be number one someday? Fuck off, Shaq. How about that? It's going to take about 3,000 more points to pass Wilt Chamberlain for number 7. And Wilt Chamberlain. So that's like a season and a half for KD. But I liked, outside of the turnovers again, some of those turnovers that happen with KD are just mind-boggling. Just dribbling, just dribbles it out of bounds, but a very solid night for him overall. While we were sitting next to each other, you felt he was a little off. Tell me about that.
Yeah, he looked a little off. But first, the nemesis appearing on the Jumbotron and Shaq, like Fisk from Daredevil, if you're familiar, it just reminds me of him up there in his suit, just a big motherfucker up there, and just like he hates him, he hates Shaq. But yeah, congrats. Anyways, thank you, Shaq. I appreciate it. So I think tonight's game, the best part I liked about Kevin Durant, looking into that first, was his play tonight when he was just coming off screens and they were really hitting him in the flow of the game. That was really big with him tonight, just hitting those shots that were easier shots in the lane. You can see trying to force it and trying to draw the fouls, which is not going to be a thing anymore. We talked about that earlier, but it's just not. So him kind of getting away from that, making the shots a little bit more easy, hitting his fadeaways in the flow of the offense is just so much more pretty. It's something where I feel like when you see that happening, that the ball control and stuff from either Beal or Booker is really going well. Either Booker's really maneuvering the game at a high level or Beal's doing it. Because I think when KD is just kind of that filler player, and it's hard to say that, but he's that guy that can just get those easier buckets in the flow of the offense. It's just a better look. The look with KD. So I always have this problem going to games because I watch him obviously the whole time, and it's just like he just has those slumpy shoulders. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but it just seems like it's a frustrated KD because I think with the big three really trying to find themselves within this offense, I don't feel like there's a lot of feelings hurt, but I think there's a lot of the whole, you're going to have to take this quarter off, books on it. And I don't know if that really has sunk in yet with this team. And I know we only have 13 games left, but sometimes it just looks like that. But that's the way I am. That's how I look in the field of these players. Because even in that Milwaukee game, he's just a guy that really just puts his head down and gets, just too into his own head. And I just feel like I see that a lot with him on the court being at the games. But that's why it's kind of better if Beal or Book kind of take over these games and become the alpha and then have him play beside them. That's what I like the most.
And to me, it's not even necessarily becoming the alpha. It's simply the Suns saying, you know what? We're going to manage this offense. And I get what you're saying about KD. And again, I always have to preface this because you'll get a KD stan who will watch this later and then call us idiots in the chat. And if you think we're idiots, so be it. Thanks for the view, I guess. Hope you hit thumbs up while you're here. But as much as I love KD, and he's an all-time great player, yeah, he just passed Shaquille O'Neal for 8th all-time scoring. That is amazing. That is legendary, okay? All-time great score. But if we're going to talk about the confines of this Phoenix Suns team, what makes this Phoenix Suns team go is when Bradley Beal or Devin Booker are the facilitators. We've noticed it time and again. When Kevin Durant starts to get into isolation basketball, he ends up taking really difficult shots. He's not flying by anybody and dunking after an isolation. He takes a tough shot or he'll turn the ball over. Now, granted, because he's Kevin Durant, he can hit some of the toughest shots that you've ever seen in basketball. And we love him for it, and we need him to have the ability to continue to do that. But that shouldn't become a primary form of offense at any time during a game for Phoenix, because that's where they get into trouble, right? I looked up a statistic today, and the Suns they run the 6th most isolation plays in the NBA. They run 8.3 isolation plays per game. The challenge is if you look at points per play, so points per isolation play, they're 13th in the league. So they take they have the 6th most isolation plays, but they score the 13th most points off of those. That's not the greatest statistic. I do want to drill down and see what that looks like from both Booker, from both Beal, and from Durant. But you make a good point there. What we saw tonight from Kevin Durant, and one of the reasons the Suns were successful, it was a lot more Beal penetrating and kicking. It was a lot more Booker being point Booker, right? He ended with 11 assists. He had 18 points and 11 assists. And what does that do? That opens Kevin Durant up. That opens him up to hit those jump shots. Or when he gets the ball, he can immediately fire. So it's not an isolation possession, it's a jumper. That's how he got his 10th point that set him over the mark over Shaquille O'Neal. Was a 16-foot jumper where it's like kick to him and let him hit. You don't need him to sit there and try to stare down the defender and allow them an opportunity to get set and try to swipe it at him. Because at the end of the day, no matter how great of a scorer he is, he's still 7 feet. And every time he dribbles the ball and you got a little guy on him, it's an opportunity for them to swat at it or to get physical. And that's what even like Draymond Green was saying about Kevin Durant, right? Like all you got to do is get a little physical with him in certain spots, and you can take him out of his game a little bit. And that's all you have to do is try to take him out of his game a little bit. He's so great that it's hard to take him out of his game. So you got to play some mental games with him. So what we saw from Durant tonight was fantastic relative to that. He allowed the Suns to play through him the way that they should, not rely on him the way that they shouldn't.